the last time I upgraded my telephone, I went into my local Vodafone shop, and one morning, and there was a couple of young guys in there, and I asked them about my plan, and I said I wanted to upgrade my phone, and that was fine. And I just said to them, because I knew that Vodafone used Fuse, and I said, tell me, how do you find Fuse? What do you use it for? And they both looked at each other and wondered who this guy was who knew what this Fuse thing is. And one of them said, well, he said, I've used it about, and this was about 10 a.m. in the morning, he said, I've used it about 4 or 5 times already today. I said, what are you using for? He said, oh, we're checking inventory, and we're checking to see if when new products come in, just to make sure, to understand a little bit about them and so on. And it was so they were using it as a support tool, as an inventory check, as all sorts of things, as well as learning. And when I went back about a week later to pick up my phone, again, I asked the same question to a young woman who was working in there, and she said the same. She said, I just couldn't do without it. It's part of what I do. It's part of my work. And I think for me, that was a good example of, if you get it right, when you get it right, you find that you're using a tool, or you've got access to something which is helping you to do your job better. And actually, with that help, you're getting better at doing your job. Therefore, you're learning, and actually, you're learning from working rather than learning to work. And one of the things that I get a little frustrated about personally is that you hear a lot of people talking about learning in the workflow, and I often say that there's a word missing from that phrase, learning in the workflow, because what a lot of people mean is formal learning in the workflow. In other words, how do we take our formal learning and push it into the workflow, which is great. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a good idea, I think it's a good idea, but actually learning from working is very different to learning in the workflow to carry out work. And we need to do both, basically. And I would argue that the former, learning from working, is a more important thing for us to focus on as L&D professionals.